Hello students, welcome to Top Scholars. Today in this video, we are going to discuss about a very interesting chapter, that is your life processes. You know, this is the very first chapter into your science textbook and we will be discussing in detail how exactly the previous year questions will be coming from this particular chapter. So here we are going to discuss about the different marking schemes. So you will be getting the questions starting from 1 mark up till 5 marks, right? We will be discussing about each and every year type question, how many questions were there and the total marks represented for the same. So for example, for 1 mark question, there were 3 questions in the year 2021. In the 2022, there were 13 questions and in the year 2023, also you had 2 questions. So if you look at the past 5-year journey, you are getting how many? 18 questions in all, which is holding up to 18 marks for you, right? Then if you go for 2-marker questions, you got 3 questions in the year 2019 and you got 2 questions in the year 2023. Total 5 questions holding 10 marks for you. Then in the year 2019, for 3-marker type question, you had 1 question. And for 2023, again, there was 1 more question. Total 2 questions holding 6 marks for you, right? For 4 marks, you have 1 question in the year 2021 holding 1 question and having 4 marks for the same. And for 5-marker questions, like the longest ones, you had 1 question in the year 2020 and 1 question in the year 2021, having total 2 questions and holding 10 marks for you. So with this itself, students, you can understand how many marks weightage is there for this particular topic and how important it is, right? You can also look this into a graph and you can understand. For year 2019, you got around 4 questions. 2020, there were 1 question. 2021, you had, let's say, 5 questions. For the year 2022, you had the highest number of questions, 13 questions. And from the year 2023, also you got around 5 to 6 questions. So with the students, you can understand how important this life process is. And you can easily relate with it because all the processes that you're actually learning into the life topic are going on in your body. Let's say, for example, into the life process, we learn about the digestive system. So we know how your digestive system works, right? You know that the food first enters into your mouth with the help of your teeth and your tongue. You're going to break down the food. Physical breakdown undergoes, then it goes for chemical breakdown with the help of salivary glands, travels through your esophagus into your stomach. Again, you have peristalsis going on, the physical digestion, the chemical digestion with the help of gastric juices, through your small intestine, the large intestine, the rectum and the anus. Finally, the waste food material will be eliminated out. So this is an example of one specific life process. Similarly, we have another life process, let's say, for example, breathing. We also understand into this topic how the gases exchange, how the pressure changes into your lungs, which helps you to take the oxygen air in and give out carbon dioxide, right? So we are learning about all of these life processes into this chapter. Plus, with the help of this graph, students, you can clearly understand that it is so much important. It has so many questions asked every time into the exam. So why to skip it, right? Plus, I'm pretty sure that by this time, you have already completed this topic. So let us go through the questions which are asked from this topic. Okay, so let's say, for example, this is a sample question which you have from the year 2019. Okay, so see, here you have first question, write 2 different ways in which the glucose is oxidized to provide energy into the human body and write the products which are formed from each case. So you have to just write about the respiration reaction, your aerobic and anaerobic respiration. This is a short type of a question giving you 2 marks easily, correct? Next question is, write the 3 types of blood vessel, give 1 important feature of each. Again, 3-mark question, a short answer question. Just write arteries, veins, capillaries and function of each. That's it. Then a student is observing a temporary amount of leaf peel under the microscope. Here we have a leaf section. Draw a label diagram of the structure as a stomata as seen under the microscope. Such an easy question again, students. It's a short answer question holding 2 marks for you. You have to just draw the diagram, a label diagram of a structure of a stomata. Draw the structure of a stomata, like show the guard cells, the companion cells, the chloroplast in some of the cells, and you'll be good to go, right? So from 2019 paper, you can see such simple questions were asked for this particular topic. Going ahead, we have one more question from the same year. In this experimental setup, show that the carbon dioxide is given out during the respiration process, right? Name the substance taken in small test tube kept in the conical flask. State its function and the consequence of its use. This was again a very short answer question holding 2 marks for you. Now, the questions that we have here as students are from your year 2020. So again, here we have a question which says the difference in the rate of breathing between the aquatic organism and terrestrial organism. Explain why. A long answer question rather, giving you 5 marks. But it is such an easy question even for a long answer, right? So here they are asking you to explain the difference between the aquatic and terrestrial organisms. Simple. The aquatic organisms are going to have dissolved oxygen, whereas the terrestrial organisms like humans, they have the oxygen which is available into the air. That is going to cause the change into the rate of breathing. That's it. You have to explain that part. Correct? So here you have to draw a diagram of human respiratory system. Into the beginning, we actually talked about our inhalation and exhalation. So you have to draw the simple diagram here, just representing the important parts such as the pharynx, the trachea, the lungs, the diaphragm, the alveolar sac on it. Just just draw those diagrams, label it very well, and you will be easily scoring 5 marks for that, students. So the pretty idea here is so many simple questions are asked again and again from this topic here. Then name the organs that forms the excretory system into human beings. Just you have to name the organs. We have your kidney, then we have the ureters, then we have the urinary bladder, the urethra. These are the organs that is forming the excretory system for human body. That's it. Then you have to describe in brief how urine is produced into the human body. Just explain the process of your filtration, ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption through the nephron, and that will be enough to score 5 marks for this question. Okay, so all of these questions, students, were asked into the year 2020 paper. You can see they are very easy. Once you have done the revision very well, it makes it very easy. Here again, why do arteries have thick elastic walls? Arteries have higher pressure. To maintain the pressure, you have thick elastic wall. Very short answer type question holding 1 mark. Or name the molecule of energy that is synthesized during respiration. The molecule of energy that is synthesized is ATP, right? So you have to just answer that for this question. Again, this was the question which was asked into 2021 paper. Such a simple question, right? Again, we have a few more questions from the same year. That is, this is an assertion reasoning type question where you have multiple choice or multiple options given, giving you 1 mark, right? So the assertion statement says, in human beings, when the air is taken into the body through the nostrils and passed through the throat, the air passage does not collapse. That's the assertion. The reasoning is rings of cartilage which are present into the throat ensures that the air passage does not collapse. So here you have to state which of the following statements are correct. Both assertion and reason are true, and the reason is the correct explanation. Both assertion and reason are true, but the reason is not the correct explanation. Assertion is true, but the reasoning is false. Assertion is false, but the reasoning is true. So out of these 4 options, you have to select the right answer and you will be getting 1 mark for that. Again, one more type of your MCQ type question that you have from the year 2021, giving you 4 marks for the same. So see, here you have to study the following and answer 4 questions from 1 to 5 which is given, and you have to make the right answer for the same. So visible movements only cannot be defining characteristic of the life. So let's say, for example, you are saying there's a visible movement that can only not be the visible characteristic. Molecular movement are invisible to the naked eye, right? There are so many molecular movements going on into your system, but they are not visible to your naked eye. Viruses are said to be living as they also show molecular movements, but only when inside a living cell. We all know outside the living cell, viruses won't be able to replicate. Living organisms are organized structure. They must be keep repairing, maintaining their structure. Maintenance of an organism is the collection of processes like respiration, nutrition, etc. In absence of any of these, life would be difficult to remain alive. Definitely. Chemical energy is needed by the living organisms to provide vital, to perform those vital functions. It provides energy to do what? To maintain the important life processes, to produce molecules for repair of worn out cells, and for the growth of the body. So for all of these, you require energy as it is helping to perform the vital processes. Correct? So now from this, students, you have to try to answer the questions, right? So first question is, viruses show molecular movement when they are, and you are provided with options in crystalline form, inside a dead material, in the air, in the body of a living organism. Here the answer is literally present into the question. You have it into the paragraph here, right? So viruses are like growing or showing movement only when inside a living body. You have the answer right there into your paper, right? So the answer would be this one. The processes that involves the intake of oxygen from outside and the breaking down of nutrient molecules to produce energy will be excretion, nutrition, respiration, reproduction. Respiration, right? Next is, which one of the following statement is incorrect? Energy is needed by living organisms to do what? To maintain life processes, to grow, to repair worn out cells of the body, or synthesize waste material. So you have to find the incorrect statements over here, right? Okay, so all of these are correct. Energy is needed to maintain life process, grow, and to repair the worn out tissues, but it is not needed to synthesize the waste materials. Next question is the type of nutrition which is found in green plants. You would have autotrophic, heterotrophic, parasitic, or holozoic. As we know, plants are producers, so they will show you autotrophic mode of nutrition. So with this, you can understand, students, how many simple type of questions, even by looking at the question, it appears to be a big question and you might get scared that before attempting that one. But rather, the bigger the question, I guess it gets more easier and simpler for us. And one more MCQ that you get from the same paragraph is, the function of your circulatory system of human beings is to transport food, oxygen, waste material, or all of the above. So your body will be transporting everything. So it will be part of your circulatory system. Clear? Right. We have one more question which was from your CBSE year 2021. Again, a long answer question holding 5 marks for you. So why do herbivores need longer small intestine as compared to that of carnivores? Right? List 3 types of substances secreted by gastric glands and state the role of each in the digestion of food in the alimentary canal of human beings. So here, students, you have to just list down the types of substances into your gastric juices and the role of each. Or you also get an option apart from this one. You can answer these 2 questions or the above 2, right? Plants absorb water from the soil. Explain how it is taken up and transported from the soil. The second option that you have here is, when we are injured, it starts bleeding. It requires a loss of blood from the system to be minimized, right? What will happen if the blood loss is not stopped? Is there anything into the system that could do on its own to prevent the loss? The question seems a little confusing, right? But here you have to just answer related to your blood clotting. You have to just answer about your platelets, that yes, we have it into our system who will help to prevent the blood loss, and describe that mechanism. Okay, so students, I hope you are able to understand how simple the types of questions are being asked from this topic. Next is going to start with your CBSE year 2022 paper. Okay, so the first question that we have here is a multiple choice question which is holding 1 mark for the same. You have to consider the following statements in connection with the functions of blood vessels which are marked A and B here into the diagram of human heart. So you have options such as blood vessel A, right? It says that A is carrying the carbon dioxide rich blood to your lungs. Then we have blood vessel B. It says that it is carrying the oxygen rich blood from your lungs. Then we have option C. It says blood vessel A, left atrium relaxes, okay, as it receives blood from this blood vessel. And option D, which says blood vessel A, that is your right atrium, has a thick muscular wall as it has to pump the blood to the blood vessel. So regarding or considering these two blood vessels, you have to select the correct option from that, right? So first of all, the easy way to answer this type of a question would be labeling the blood vessels, and then you can easily go for the answer. Then next question you have here is, in living organisms, that is during respiration, which of the following products are not formed if oxygen is not available? So in simple terms, they are asking you, as oxygen is not available, you will be going for anaerobic respiration, right? And as you are going for anaerobic respiration, which are the products which are not formed in anaerobic respiration? So carbon dioxide and water, it is a product of aerobic respiration. Carbon dioxide and alcohol can be considered. Lactic acid and alcohol can be also considered. Carbon dioxide and lactic acid. Getting back to the question, in living organism during respiration, which of the following are not produced during the process? So you are producing carbon dioxide, lactic acid, alcohol. All of these are produced during your anaerobic respiration. Which of the following are not formed? That would be carbon dioxide and water, because it's produced during aerobic respiration. So they twisted the question a bit, but they have given the options here and you can easily answer once you have revised it well. Next is the correct statement with reference to single-celled organisms. You have 4 options. Complex substances which are not broken down into simpler substances. You have to determine this regarding your single-celled organisms, okay? You have simple diffusion is sufficient to meet the requirement of the exchange of gases. Specialized tissue perform different functions in the organism, and the entire surface of the organism is in contact with its environment for taking in the food. Here the question you have to select is related to the single-celled organism, that is unicellular organisms, and answer accordingly. One more question, which is a multiple choice question giving you 1 mark, again from the year 2022 paper, includes which one among the following is not removed as a waste product from the body of a plant? So plant will produce raisins and gums, dry leaves, excess water. We know urea is human waste, right? The plant will be not producing urea. Such a simple question giving you easy 1 mark. Again, a multiple choice question from the year 2022. Which of the following statements is correct about role of A? You have to tell what is A, or just identify what is A. During the breathing cycle in human, it helps to decrease the residual volume of the air in the lungs. It flattens as we inhale. It gets raised as we inhale. It helps the chest cavity to become larger. So here we are talking about diaphragm. And as you're talking about the diaphragm here, we will be discussing how this diaphragm is helping into your breathing cycle and answer accordingly. One more question that you have is an assertion and reasoning type of question giving you 1 mark, which is again a multiple choice question, right? So here the assertion states nitrogen is an essential element for the plant to grow, and it is taken up by the plant in the form of inorganic nitrites or nitrates. The reason says the soil is the nearest and the richest source of raw materials like nitrogen, phosphorus and other materials for the plants. You are provided with 4 options regarding to the assertion and reasoning questions. Just analyze it and you will be able to answer it well. There are a lot of questions from the year 2022, right? So we have a student who was asked to write stepwise procedure to demonstrate that CO2 or carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. It is one of the very important factors which is needed to do photosynthesis. It can even act as a limiting factor. He wrote the following steps. The wrongly worded step would be, first, both potted plants are kept in dark room for at least 3 days. bottom of the bell jars is filled to make them airtight. Plants are kept in sunlight after the starch test, and a leaf from both the plant is taken to confirm the presence of starch. So you have to find out which is a wrongly worded step among these steps which are provided. Next question is the 8th question, which is again an MCQ type giving you 1 mark, right? So the respiratory structures of 2 different animals are given, that is a fish and a human being. So we have gills and we have alveoli given, right? You have to observe A and B and select one characteristic that holds true for both of them, which is common for both of them, right? So both are placed internally into the body of an animal. Both have thin and moist surfaces for gaseous exchange. Both are poorly supplied with blood vessels to conserve energy. In both, the blood returns to the heart after being oxygenated, right? So here, if you study in detail about your gills and into the alveoli, or if you understand the gas exchange in aquatic animals and into the human beings, you'll be able to easily answer this question, right? Because for example, both of them, the blood is not returning to the heart after oxygenation. It doesn't happen with your gills, right? Both are not poorly supplied. Rather, both of them will have a good concentration, a good network of blood to maintain that concentration gradient. So blood vessels are definitely in higher amount. One more question for the same year. It's your 9th multiple choice question, right? It is holding 1 mark for you. The question says, it's a case study type multiple choice question, okay? So the figure shown below represents a common type of dialysis called as hemodialysis. So what do you do into hemodialysis? You are going to remove the waste product from the blood such as excess salts and urea, which are insufficiently removed by the kidney patients with kidney failure. As the patient is suffering from kidney failure, the body is not able to remove the waste. So we are doing hemodialysis to remove the waste material. During the procedure, the patient's blood is cleaned by filtration through series of semi-permeable membranes before being returned back to the patient's body. On the basis of this, you have to answer the following few questions. There is also a diagram provided explaining the whole procedure, right? So the question here is, the hemodialyzer has semi-permeable lining of tubes that help to do what? Maintain the osmotic pressure, filter nitrogen is a waste from the dialyzing solution. Then you have in passing the waste products in the dialyzing solution, and to pump purified blood back to the body of the patient. So accordingly, you have to answer the question, right? Which one of the following is not a function of an artificial kidney? Which of the following is not the function of an artificial kidney? To remove nitrogen, to remove excess fluids, to reabsorb essential nutrients from the blood, and to filter and purify the blood. If you know, this is easily done by your kidney, right? Artificial kidneys. To remove excess fluid from the body, definitely. Artificial kidney will not do anything which is not needed by the body. Alright? Going ahead, we have few more MCQs from the same topic that is related to your dialysing question. The used dialysis solution is rich in what? What substances will be there into a used dialysis solution? You will find urea and excess salts. There will be no blood cells, there should be no lymph present, and there should be no proteins, because all of these are essential components which need not to be taken by your dialysis system. The next MCQ that you have is your 13th MCQ, which will again give you 1 mark, but it's still related to that hemodialysis question which is given. Which part of the nephron in human kidney serves the function of certain substances? Glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, tubules, or collecting duct. Now coming to the questions which were there for the year 2023. So an organism which breaks down the food material outside the body is, we have 4 options because it is a multiple choice question giving you 1 mark. The options here are plant parasite Cuscuta, you have animal parasite tapeworm, then you have a bacteria Rhizobium and the fungus Rhizopus. So you have to determine which of these is going to release the enzymes and break down the food outside. Next question is Consider the following statements about the small intestine and select the one which is not correct. That means you have to find the incorrect statement here. Again, a multiple choice question, and you will be provided with 1 mark for the same. The options here are the length of small intestine in animals, as it depends on the type of food they eat. The small intestine is the site of complete digestion of your food. The small intestine receives secretions from liver and pancreas. The last option says the villi of small intestine absorbs water from unabsorbed food before it gets removed from the body via the anus. This is such an easy question, students. You can quickly find out here. This is the role of your large intestine. Even if you don't know that rest of the options are correct or not, if you know just one thing about your large intestine, that it is responsible to absorb water from the unabsorbed food and eliminate the waste from the anus, you will be able to quickly guess the answer for this one. Next question is a very short answer type question which will give you 2 marks for the same. You have options as well. The first question is, name the type of blood, oxygenated or deoxygenated, which is transported by each of the following mentioned path. That is, from one organ, that is which place, to another organ, which place, like from where it will be starting to where it will be going. From the vena cava and from the pulmonary artery. Or you can also answer the second question with the help of a schematic flow chart. You have to just show the breakdown of glucose in the cell to provide energy. So you have to show both in aerobic and anaerobic respiration, right? So just show the flow chart or the chemical reaction for the same, and you will easily get 2 marks for that. One more question, which was again a very short answer type question giving 2 marks from the year 2023 paper, states that name the part of human excretory system where nephrons are found. Write the structure and the function of nephron. Where are nephron found? Into a kidney. Just write the structure and function of the nephron. That's it. And you will be good to go. Next question that we have here is a short answer type question holding around 3 marks. So you have to plan accordingly, write good amount of points so that you can get full 3 marks over there. Okay. So you have to state the role of ATP in cellular respiration. So if you individually answer these 3 questions, 1 mark for each question. So state the role of ATP in cellular respiration. It's a source of energy, right? What ensures a sufficient exchange of gases in plants? State the condition on which the direction of gas diffusion in plants depend upon the concentration gradient, right? Or you can also answer these 2 questions. What is the internal energy reserve in plants and animals? So reserve in plants would be starch, in animals would be glycogen. How do desert plants perform photosynthesis if their stomata remain closed during the day? So you have to explain the procedure of how stomata works for desert plants during the daytime. So students, here now we are going to check a few questions and answer in detail about these questions from the past year as well. So this is the question from year 2023 which is giving you 2 marks. Name the type of blood which is oxygenated or deoxygenated, which is transported by each of the following mentioning path. That is, from one organ, which place, to another organ, which place. So you have to answer about vena cava and pulmonary artery. So the solution for this would be something like this. See, you have your vena cava, and this vena cava is the major blood vein or body vein. This will be carrying your deoxygenated blood. From where? Your deoxygenated blood will be coming from all your different body parts. So it is collecting the blood from your whole body to the heart. That's what they have asked you. Name the type of blood, which type of blood it is carrying. It's carrying deoxygenated blood transported by each of the following, mentioning from which part to which part. From the whole body to the heart. Simple. Next is about pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery is going to carry which type of blood? Deoxygenated blood. Remember students, all the arteries into your body carry oxygenated, and we have only one exception, that is about your pulmonary artery. So here the pulmonary artery is also carrying the deoxygenated blood. It's carrying from the heart to the lungs so that the oxygenation can be done. See, when we call it as an artery, that means it's taking the blood away. away from the heart. Okay, as it's taking the blood away from the heart, you're calling it as an artery. Why pulmonary artery? Because it's taking the blood to your lungs. But this is the only artery which will be carrying the deoxygenated blood to your lungs, right? And it's carrying from the heart to your lungs. The pulmonary vein, on the other hand, will be doing the oxygenated blood supply from your lungs to the heart. So here, all the veins into your body carry deoxygenated blood except for pulmonary vein. You can call a vein, or you can describe it as a blood vessel which is going to take the blood towards the heart. As it is taking the blood towards the heart, that is from lungs to the heart, it's a vein. But it is coming from your lungs, so you call it as a pulmonary vein. So just by writing these two simple sentences, you will be easily able to gain 2 marks for this question. Let's try one more. With the help of a schematic flowchart, you have to show the breakdown of glucose into a cell to provide energy. So you have to show it for the presence of oxygen and in the lack of oxygen, correct? So you have to show for both aerobic and anaerobic. So for the solution, you will be showing that your glucose is a 6-carbon molecule, C6H12O6, 6-carbon structure, breaking down into your cytoplasm. Where this reaction happens? Into the cytoplasm, giving you pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon molecule. Along with that, some amount of energy is also released into the process. Then, as there is lack of oxygen, let's say for example, into human muscle cells, there is lack of oxygen when you will be exercising. At that time, your muscles will start to opt for anaerobic respiration. So, no oxygen. What will happen then? Then, you will convert it into lactic acid, which is also a 3-carbon compound, and along with that, you will be producing energy for the same. So for this question, students, you had to just show a simple flow chart to explain both the procedure, aerobic as well as anaerobic respiration. And in case there is absence of oxygen for the yeast cells, here it will be able to produce ethanol. Remember, they haven't asked you only specifically about the human body, they have to show you into a cell, right? They haven't specified it. If it says for the human body, you can stop it here. But as it also mentions, just like a general cell, it could be a yeast cell. So it will be producing ethanol, which is a 2-carbon compound, 1 molecule of carbon dioxide and some energy for the same. Then, if there is presence of oxygen into your mitochondrial cell, what you will do then? Then it will be producing only carbon dioxide and water to give energy at the end. So up till this step, students, it will be common, be it the presence of oxygen or absence of oxygen, right? So up till here, it will be common. But once you are having different conditions, that is oxygen available, for absence of oxygen for the yeast cell, absence of oxygen for the muscle cells, and presence of oxygen for the body cells, that is into the mitochondria. At that time, it will produce carbon dioxide, water and energy. Trying one more question, which is for 5 marks. This is from year 2021. Okay, the question says, why do herbivores need longer small intestines as compared to that of your carnivores? Also, you have to list 3 types of substances which are secreted by the gastric glands. State the role of each into the digestion of food and into the alimentary canal of human beings. So for the solution here for the first question, what is the question here? They are asking why herbivores are needing longer small intestine compared to the carnivores. The small intestine is the actual site where most of your digestion is completed. You would see that your carbohydrates, proteins, fats, everything is completely digested over here. So the length of the small intestine will differ. Why? Depending upon what type of food they are consuming. Herbivores have a longer small intestine. Okay, the length of the small intestine is comparatively longer for herbivores. Why? Because they have to digest cellulose. What is cellulose? A complex carbohydrate. You have to break down that complex carbohydrate. Whereas carnivores consumes meat. Meat would be rather easy to digest. Why? Because it has a lot of proteins into them. So they have shorter small intestine compared to the herbivores. That's it. And the next question says, you have to list 3 types of substances from the gastric glands, right? So into the digestive system or into a process of digestion, stomach is taken care by the presence of digestive glands or by the presence of gastric juices, okay? And these gastric juices are coming from the gastric glands. So where are these gastric glands actually present? They are present onto the wall of your stomach. So what are they going to release? They release substances such as hydrochloric acid. They release protein digesting enzyme called as pepsin, and they release mucus. So hydrochloric acid, as it's an acid, it can do only one thing: create the acidic condition. But this acidic condition is very much important for the action of the pepsin. Without HCl, pepsin cannot work. So your gastric glands present into the walls of your stomach produces HCl, which generates an acidic medium. That acidic medium is favorable for the pepsin enzyme to function. And as it's an acid, it will be corrosive in nature. It can easily damage the wall of your stomach. So our stomach also has a solution for that. It produces mucus. This mucus protects the inner lining of your stomach from the action of acid under the normal condition. So let's say, for example, if this is your stomach, right? And this is the wall. So you would see that the inner wall or inner lining of your stomach is lined by this mucus like this. Okay, so as there is mucus present, the HCl will not come in direct contact with your stomach wall and protect your stomach wall from the same. So this is stomach wall, and the inner green line here represent the mucus layer. So mucus is acting as a protective layer to protect your stomach. So by answering in detail about why the longer small intestine is there for your herbivorous animals, and the 3 of the substances HCl, pepsin and mucus, you will be scoring full 5 marks for this question. Or you also have an option type of question for this one. Plant absorb water from the soil. You have to explain how it is taken up and transported from the soil. And when we are injured, it starts bleeding, right? So it requires the loss of blood from the system. So what will happen if blood loss is not stopped? Is there anything in your system to prevent that loss? Let's check the answer for the same. For the first solution, you can see that into plants, the absorption of water from the soil is done with the help of xylem tissues. Right? Into the xylem tissues, you have a specific type of cell. You see, a xylem cell is a complex type of tissue, right? So it has complex cells present. It has vessels and tracheids, which are present into the root, stems and leaves. All of these are interconnected, okay? So they will form a very continuous system of water, and they will be conducting these channels from the soil to all the plant parts. This can be easily done with the help of this one xylem tissue. So they are just asking you from where it is going through the soil. So from the soil to the different plant parts with the help of these conducting tissues. Then here, when your root comes in contact with the soil, it starts to actively take up the water. This is going to create a difference into the concentration of these ions between the roots and the soil. Only because of this concentration gradient, or in simple words, because of your osmosis, the water moves into the soil to eliminate this difference. This means there is always a steady movement of water into the root xylem, creating a column of water that is steadily pushed upwards with the help of your xylem tissue. But this pressure itself is not sufficient to move water over heights that we are commonly seeing into the plants. Moving on to the second question to answer. Here, see, when you are injured or there is some injury onto your body, you are going to lose large amount of blood. Now, when you are losing large amount of blood, it is going to create 2 problems. First, your blood pressure will come down, right? And very low blood pressure can cause damage to the organs. Plus, it is going to cause, enter into the process of shock. So, blood loss can be fatal. you cannot afford that your body is continuously losing blood. Second, you have to minimize this, right? You have to minimize the blood loss. In addition, if there is any leakage, it would lead to a loss of pressure, which would reduce the efficiency of your pumping system as well. So your pumping system is working only because of the pressure which is maintained. If you start losing the blood, the pressure will be lost. So blood clotting or blood coagulation is your answer. Is an important process which is necessary so that it will prevent the excessive blood loss when there is an injury or any cut or any damage to your tissue. So to avoid this, what do your blood is having? It has a special type of cells, that is your platelet cells. These platelet cells are regularly circulating into your body, and when there is a cut or an injury, they plug into those leaked points and they are going to clot the blood into these points of your injury. Another question that we have here is, consider the following statement about small intestine, and you have to select the one which is not correct. Length of the small intestine in animal differs and it depends on the type of food they eat. Small intestine is the site of complete digestion of food. Small intestine receives secretions from liver and pancreas, and villi of small intestine absorb water from unabsorbed food and it gets removed from the body via anus. So the solution for this is very simple. Why? Because see, the length of your small intestine animal is differing as it depending upon the type of the food they eat. We know that herbivores will have longer ones, carnivores will have shorter ones. It is a site of complete digestion, carbohydrates, proteins, everything is digested. Small intestine receives secretions from liver and pancreas. They are the accessory glands which we have. But the villi of small intestine is not going to absorb. The villi of small intestine absorbing water from the unabsorbed food before it gets removed from the body is the incorrect. Why? Because here the answer would be your large intestine. The inner lining of small intestine has villi, but it is for the absorption of your digested food material, right? It is the area for absorption. So it has rich supply of your blood vessels. It can absorb food like digested food, that to bring that to every cell of the body, every new tissue of the body. So the villi is there into the small intestine, but it is not doing the absorption of water from the unabsorbed food. Rather, it is doing the major absorption part. The unabsorbed food is sent to your large intestine. So large intestine is the place where you would see that more water is absorbed from the material, the rest of the undigested and the food which is not useful for your system eliminated out via your anus. Okay, so here the answer would be option D. So students, I hope this was really helpful to you as we were able to discuss about so many questions and we easily understood how important this topic of life processes is. Plus, it is very simple, right? You have to just be very attentive during the, reading the questions. Many times the answer is there itself into the questions, right? So, I hope this was helpful and you have understood it well. Until next time, thank you and happy learning. Do like, share and subscribe for more such videos.